Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Your Little Castle show. It's been a hot summer, Tom, and you are the one that comes to save people from the hotness. Is that true?
Correct, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to Tom Roach, owner of Action Heating and Cooling right here in St. Louis. Now, if you're hot in this area, which St. Louis does get very hot, he is the guy to call. And we're going to talk about his expertise and share some of his tips, trade secrets a little bit, maybe to tell people how do you run a successful business. That's what this show is all really about. So with that, welcome, Tom, to the show.
Good morning.
All right. Well, it does come time when the AC needs to come on, and how often do we end up in a situation where people are going, hey, it didn't kick on. Who do I call? And you've been doing this now for 36 years, 37 years?
36, 37 years.
Yourself. And the company that you run now has been around for 46.
Yes, since 1977.
1977. Almost as old as the Cardinal Cowboy. Wow, so that's good. That's good stuff. Well, then tell me, Tom, why did you decide to get into this business? This is a lucrative business. This is a good way to make a living, but you also get to really help our little planet. Tell me about that.
In graduating high school, it seems the business world always seems to want to push you to the college arena.
Sure.
I tried college at the University of Missouri St. Louis
Okay.
for about 9 months.
Oh, wow.
Had no desire to be there, had no direction, and it ultimately didn't work for me. My father says, you're not going to sit at home and gold brick for the rest of your life. You need to do something. How about a trade? I says, oh, that sounds interesting. More of a hands-on guy than a, college student.
Right.
Ended up looking into Rankin Trade School and looking over the options that they offered. It was obvious I didn't want to be a plumber and play in sewer water, so to speak.
Okay.
And I ultimately chose the HVAC route and went to Rankin in 1985 and participated in their day school program. So in graduating from Rankin, then I ended up with an employment opportunity with Steve Treiber, my late former boss, at Action Heating and Cooling. And that's where I have blossomed to the point where I'm at now, in doing service work and fixing furnaces and ACs in the HVAC industry.
Well, it's a very rewarding industry. It's been around for a long time now. I mean, I guess when you look at the overall longevity of the history of this little planet, it's kind of new. But over the last 100 years, man, you can't build a house that doesn't have HVAC. And how many people, if that thing goes out, they're on the phone with you right away to make sure this thing is up and running again. Heating and cooling, HVAC. Well, with that, everybody, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors quickly here. But Carroll House Furniture, because you like nice things. And where do you like these nice things? In your little castle. So we've got that up on the wall. And then USA Mortgage has done a great job really supporting us, because we love the fact that we have some local hometown businesses that want to support us here. So we give a shout out to both of those wonderful sponsors and a bunch of other companies that are helping us here to keep that going. With that, we're going to put up on the TV walls here in our studio your website, great looking website, and your fan page. Got to have both of those these days, it seems, right?
Yes.
And you've got an expert helper. Colette's in the studio today. She's our assistant producer for the show today, too. So
Sounds good.
Thank you, Colette. All right, with that, talk to me a little bit more about it. So your dad literally just said to you, well, guess what? You're not sitting on the couch anymore. You're going to do this.
Yeah.
That led to where you said, and out of all the trades, you said HVAC. What compelled you to pick HVAC over the others when you really came down to it?
Plumbing wasn't in the cards.
Right.
No real particular reason other than, you didn't want to be an electrician. What they offer? Hydraulics, not hydraulics. They offered welding and automotive and things, but HVAC seemed to be the most, the path that I think I wanted to go down. I'm stuck now.
No, that's good. I mean, that's what we want to hear from people is how did you decide to this? And sometimes you just kind of fall into it. But it's interesting because we talked a little bit about this, and a lot of people, they go the college route, right? And just you don't even consider the trades. And these days, boy, the trades are really coming back because there's so much money to be made there, and you don't have to, you're going so much in debt as you do with a college degree, right? Still paying some of that back myself, everybody. But then you really get into a specific that they're trained in great expertise. And gosh, HVAC, you've got to have it. It's a vital part of it. I mean, there's not a building in North America, I don't think, that doesn't have HVAC built into it, or else they're not in business, or they're not allowing people to live there. So the trades really have emerged again, and it's great to see some people really running with that. And so somebody that's run a business now for 37 years, a company that's 46, almost a half a century old, everybody. Tom here is here to share some of his tips of the trade and how we've provided to make this a successful business. What about your business fuels your passion? What do you love about what you do to help make sure that people stay cool or warm? And what is it about the business that you really enjoy?
The part about the business that I really enjoy isn't heating and cooling, as strange as that might seem.
Right, okay.
It's about going to a customer's house and solving the problem that they have,
Right.
fixing their needs. It doesn't have to be I'm too hot or I'm too cold. In fact, the biggest problem that people complain about mostly is no hot water.
No hot water, okay.
That's more important than heating and cooling to most of my customers.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, when you fix their furnace or their AC or their water heater, you solved a problem for them. It allows their life to continue on in a smooth fashion. So fixing people's problems is more important than actually fixing their furnace and air.
Yeah.
Because they don't always, it's not always a heating and cooling problem.
Okay. Well, for a lot of people, it's not the fact that, because there's a lot of problems that can be fixed. I can help somebody with their website. I do a lot of that. And that's kind of rewarding. But I mean, if you really have an impact with somebody's well-being with regard to heat and cool, as far as the air temperature goes, because boy, people can become, it becomes a vital component for healthy living, because if you get to where a house is 90, 95 degrees, people start to overheat, and the last thing you want somebody to have is a stroke. And so there's time to save the day, make sure that these people stay healthy and can be in a comfortable living. Boy, how many places around the world do they not have AC? And boy, those are tough places to live, and so that's why people are coming to America, I think, for one reason, a great country to live in. Plus, the standard of living here is very high compared to just about anywhere else around the world. And thanks to our little system here, we have that allows us to do that. Well, tell me a little bit more. When you got into this, did you feel like this is something you might do for the rest of your life? When you got started, what were your thoughts?
Sure, that was my intention, to do this for the rest of my life. My late boss was a big influence. I only knew him for 4 years, but he impacted my life tremendously. Instead of fixing my problems as I was at someone's house to fix their AC, I could always call on him to, help bail me out of a problem, because I was a young heating, cooling guy.
Right.
And you want to call your boss or your parents or whoever could help you out of a sticky situation, but he didn't always do that. He would say, stop, start over, redouble your efforts, and try to figure it out for yourself.
Right.
If he bailed me out of every situation, you're not going to learn as much as if you do when you learn from your mistakes. So telling me to stop, start over, and look at the problem maybe from another perspective and redouble your efforts allowed me to, grow as a heating, cooling guy.
Sure.
And ultimately gain the knowledge that I needed for myself instead of having someone else fix the problem for you.
Very important. There's a note, everybody. Stop, redouble your efforts, and learn and figure it out. And how many times, I'll be honest, that's part of where I learned my computer background, because I was up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. There was nobody to help me. I had to just keep pounding on it until I got through it. But boy, if you stick with something, don't give up, everybody. Take note. Another learned lesson here. We haven't had that one. I don't think anybody's mentioned that method, but it's a matter of just really stick through it and figure it out yourself, because then you're going, there's nobody there. You've got to find a way to get there. and it really then you know all the ways this thing can go wrong, and you can fix just about anything.
Well, like I said earlier, when you learn more from your mistakes than you do your successes.
Okay, yeah, let's reiterate that one too, everybody. You learn more from your mistakes than you do your successes. That is so much the case and very important. We're getting all kinds of good nuggets, everybody. Take note of these, right? Colette, you got some notes here for us. We can make sure we keep people in order with what we got here. So, all right, well, with that, let's talk a little bit. I'm going to go over, you are accredited with the BBB, and that's probably one of the most important places to be. I know that Dawn, when she's looking for prospective guests to be on our show, she always checks out to see what their BBB rating is. And there you are. That's where I found out for 46 years you've been in business, but this is your your BBB score. You got an A+, Tom. How do you think you earned that, and how long did it take to develop that to maintain that score? That's pretty good. You've been accredited for a long time.
Well, you can't solve everybody's problems perfectly every time. If you have a problem at someone's house and you can't get it fixed, you just have to stop and go back and ask them again. How can I help you? How can I fix this? What did I do wrong? You know, and you stick with it. And to get an A+ rating is to not to ignore your customers.
Well, that's key. I mean, if you're going to end up being successful on this little planet, taking care of the customer is the utmost.
I'm not naive enough to think that I make everybody happy. You know, sooner or later somebody's going to rub you the wrong way, but it's how you react to that. You know, I don't love every one of my customers, but when I knock on your door, I'd just soon be your best friend. You know,
Okay.
Smile and put on a good face and do a good job.
Sure.
But I'm stuck again.
Yeah, no, but it sounds like attitude has a lot to do with this, and we don't talk about that much on the show as well. But if you've got the right attitude, you show up with a smile. There's a lot you can do to just create a great environment for people, so that when you walk into somebody's house, you're going to their home. This is where they live, and you're going to go into their domain, if you will, and you've got to make them happy. But how much does the attitude you project have to do with the success of what you're going to work on? Because you can come in there either way. You can be, all right, I got another job to do. Or you could,
often their heating and cooling is broken and they're crabby and upset.
yeah.
And one of the first things you need to do is to, get them to smile a little bit. Get them to relax. Yes, project confidence. I will fix your furnace and air. But first, let's address, the underlying problems. And that can be a simple matter of husband and wife fighting over thermostat settings.
Right.
Or one of them may not want to buy new windows and doors for the house, which leads to greater comfort in your own home also.
I gotcha, yep. Well, I didn't realize there's so much psychology that goes into the business to understand when you're walking into a room and you've got somebody that you're working on their home, their business, their little personal world, and the mindset that you've got to have. Because the other thing you're dealing with, of course, and boy, I'm fortunate. Boy, how often people, we bring them in and we're here to make you smile too. We want to talk about the good things, but it's not because the temperature's incorrect that you're here to begin with. So you're going into the lines then to start off with, and have to say, okay, we know they're upset, we know they're frustrated already, and how are we going to make them happy? And that's what you've got to spend your time doing.
Yeah, when you knock on the door, you have to break the ice somehow, and you try to get them to relax and give them choices and options. That your problem, albeit is serious to you at the moment, there is ways we're going to solve this, and it may not be as serious as you think. So giving them choices and options to solve their problems usually gets them to calm down, and when you project confidence that whatever the problem is, we will solve your problem, then they relax and they let you come into their home, and as long as you respect their home and their animals and their house, then ultimately you can get the job done properly.
And what else do you have to deal with regard to this? There's a lot of technology involved with HVAC and keeping up with the latest trends. And so how often you also have to take older houses and newer technology and meld those together? Are you often saying, hey, we need to rip out the whole system? how do you explain that to somebody? How have you had to learn the technology to keep up with the trade?
Well, I go to many trade schools, not trade schools, but schooling after the fact to keep up on the latest, greatest new furnaces, to get accredited in certain areas, whether it be gas piping or the newest ACs or furnaces. It's important. I'm stuck again.
Yeah, no. So that it's a matter of continuing education. They call that, I guess, right?
Exactly.
And so you're constantly learning, constantly improving, and the technology with HVAC changes just as much as it does in any part of our little world, because they have that competitive nature of our economy here, where if you're not improving, you're not continuing to upgrade, boy, somebody's going to take over and win that. How much would you say in your, gosh, because you got such a history, how much change have you seen in the technology? Is it still kind of the core basics, or what are some of the revelations you've seen over the years? You're like, wow, we got to implement this now. This is going to change things.
There's been a lot of changes in the HVAC industry over the years, and most of it has to do with efficiencies and modernization. Better comfort for people in their homes. So you have to go to school to keep up, to learn, but you have to also educate your customer that this is what we can do for you now. And we can make your life more comfortable and better in your home by upgrading to more modern equipment, more efficient, and at the end of the day, save you more money, on your utility bills.
Very important. How often is it the case that you're saying, okay, we can patch this together, you've got a 20-year-old furnace or a 20-year-old air conditioner, and we can make it last maybe a year or two, but are you really wasting money because they could take that and maybe, $2,000 they're going to have to put into a repair that could have gone towards a new system that, like you said, saves them money? Is that you're also becoming a bit of an accountant or somebody to help them with their financial picture on the long term for this stuff too?
In regards to selling new equipment to someone, you have to judge them fairly quickly. And I shouldn't say judge, you should assess them fairly quickly,
right,
on their mindset. Do they have extra cash to put in new heating and cooling equipment? Often they don't. So you try to solve them, and you may very well be putting a Band-Aid on. But people are often shocked at how much heating, cooling costs, to buy new equipment. So they often were wanting you to put another Band-Aid on it, solve it for me for now, and I'll look into getting a new furnace in there next year. But like as you said, nothing goes down in price. Things get more expensive next year.
Sure. So as a matter of the function of the industry, there are such changes that people have to make that decision to figure out if they're going to continue with an older system. And now you've got different types of Freon, certain Freons that are not available anymore, or that are off the market, or have gone way up in price. How does that all play into the situation for you to make a decision to help somebody make that decision? And they could say, well, if I can spend $5,000 get a new system, maybe they can finance that on a monthly basis, but now they're going to have to make a decision on how much to spend.
I think a lot of it has to do with knowing your customer. And simply by driving up to the house, you can start to assess their situation.
Right.
Do they have, a lot of cars? Do they have a lot of dogs? What's important to these people? And sometimes heating, cooling ain't important, but other times it is. So it's important for me to assess their priorities and where they want to be at. Are they going to live in this house for much longer? Are they going to move? Do they want to make an investment? But do they have 6 kids? 3 are going to college.
Right.
Folks that send all their kids to private schools and colleges don't generally have a whole lot of extra cash to put into a brand new furnace and air.
Now we're talking about how you're impacting the community. That's true. I mean, I had not heard that kind of an evaluation from anybody that's been on our show so far to talk about when you're walking up to the building, you're starting to look at, say, what are the resources I see here? What are their habits? What are their hobbies? What are they interested in? Where have they spent their money? Because you'll be able to tell how you can best help them to do so. And that's critical as a matter of analysis. And that's just another great tip there for everybody. So take note again. Boy, when you walk in the building, when you come up to the residence, start evaluating what you're dealing with there. And I hadn't thought about how many cars, dogs, kids, all of those impact the budget and what they need. And maybe they would like to have the whole house cooled down more, and so they've got that. But 3 college kids going to getting an education, well, it's going to impact their budget. And so those are all the evaluations. And then you start to ask them and talk to them about what their needs are or how they would like to get this resolved. And not just essentially saying, how much money do you have, but you're kind of feeling out with what they are comfortable with spending, I guess.
Yeah, what's their priorities in their life at the moment? You know, do they want to go on vacation? Do they got to send the kids to school? Is their furnace and air, 50 years old and they knew they should have changed it 25 years ago, but they haven't, and they don't put their heating cooling on a very important basis in their life. Other folks do. As it's even 15 or 20 years old, they realize technology has moved on, and there are obviously ways to increase the comfort in their own home. So I don't want to say we're judging people, but we're assessing people, within the first 5 minutes of getting to know someone.
Right. Well, I mean, I just can't imagine. How often? What is the longevity now for systems? I've heard anywhere from 20 to 25 years. Are they getting to where they last longer? Is there new technology? What's going to happen here in the next 5, 10, 20 years?
Yeah. Furnaces and ACs traditionally have had a 15 to 20 year life expectancy span. With today's technology and the maintenance that hopefully you do on your system, you should be able to get approximately 25 years, longevity out of your system. But at the end of the day, it depends on how well you have taken care of your heating and cooling.
Tell me then about the maintenance that's necessary. A lot of people don't understand how important that is. What is the most core component with regard to the maintenance of a system, especially the HVAC, or I'm sorry, that's the whole system, right? But
Yes.
the cooling side of it. But it seems like there's some maintenance needs to be done there. What is it should people watch out for, and how do they best create the longevity for their own system?
Furnaces and ACs require yearly maintenance. The simple things are a filter, washing of the AC, and checking batteries and a thermostat, which is routinely trouble. But normal basic maintenance to a furnace and air will increase the longevity, the lifespan of your system, and ultimately your comfort.
Wow. Okay. Ultimately, the cleaning of the system. With regard to filters, that's something that they argue you should change. Is it at least monthly? Is that quarterly? Does it depend on your use? And how does that impact the system because it doesn't get cleaned? What happens?
Filters vary in size and quality all over the market. You have your 50-cent throwaway filters, or you might have a high-efficiency air cleaning system in your home, such as mine, where I change my filter in my furnace once every 3 years to
Really?
a tune of $25. And it's a super high-efficient air filter system, and I have normal dirt in my house as anyone else does. So filters are very important to your heating and your cooling, and the comfort level again in your house.
That is interesting. I had not heard of a system that can last 25 years as far as the filters can last. Now, what's the difference? You talked about the
3
efficiency
years.
for 3 years. So talk about the efficiency and why is that? How is that different than the one that's got to be changed once a quarter?
The 1-inch thick throwaway filters that you're buying at any hardware store generally are not designed for your health. They're simply designed to keep your equipment minimally clean.
Okay.
If you desire better indoor air quality, you need to upgrade to a high-efficiency air filter system that can increase the filtering of the air before it goes into your furnace, by as much as, 500%.
Wow.
And allows you then to potentially change your filter, like in my case, and a lot of my customers' cases, minimally or once every 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. And of course, the filter gets dirty as the hotter it gets outside, the more we run the AC, or, how dirty of a life or a lifestyle do you have?
Okay.
Some people's houses are cleaner than others, I have 2 black Labrador retrievers, so I have a fair amount of hair and dirt in my house.
Okay.
So I desire a high-efficiency air filter to minimize the dirt that's in my house.
And when you talk about the filter, that's just that square piece of, looks like the folded, that you just get a higher quality one that'll last longer, you get a cheaper one. And what's the difference in cost between? You said $25 versus 50 cents, but it lasts 3 years versus a month? How does it?
High-efficiency air filters tend to last a minimum of 6 months.
Okay.
I said $25 for my home, but it's because I bought it wholesale. But
Right, okay.
ultimately, it might be as much as 45 or 55, but it increases the filtering ability in your house, you know, as much as 500%. So high efficiency air filters are a great way to increase your heating, cooling efficiency and the air quality in your house.
Another important fact here, everybody. Tom has given us some information that, again, we have not heard before, and I didn't realize that there was a difference in the quality. Now, does that impact your health too? Because if you've got a more clean air, less pollen, less antigens getting into your system, how can that impact somebody's health?
I have to be observant again. If I see somebody that has, you know, breathing issues in their house, whether it be asthma, allergies, or, you know, so then I end up suggesting we have other ways to clean the air filter or clean the air in your house a lot better. And they're just high efficiency air filters. So you need to watch your customers and see what's important to them. Some people won't put a filter in their furnace. Others change it every 30 days like they typically are supposed to. But there are ways to increase your comfort level in your house with filters.
There we are, ladies and gentlemen. Lots of good information. I think I've learned so much in 1.5 hour sit down about air conditioning in my entire life, about any business for that matter. Tom is a wealth of knowledge. It's because he's been in business for so long and he's got such expertise. With that, I'm going to take a quick browse of your new website. You got the new website up here. Mm-hmm. We're going to share just a quick overview here. We're going to help. We're going to put this video clip right there in the middle of your page, but you can see lots of great information here for everybody. Take a look here, and you will find all the information necessary. But Action Heating and Cooling, STLLC.com, 314-388-2665, and that 2665 is spelled out COOL. I just realized you've got that. I'm going to show that up on the wall, everybody, on your fan page there. You can see that number, and that's important to remember. It makes it easy for people to remember so that they can get proper care for their home and their HVAC system. I mean, you don't realize how vital it is for somebody to have a system that it's efficient like this until you start to see the impact it has on people and their health, and especially the elderly when they get into a house that's overheating. Boy, there's some serious concerns you might have there.
Yeah, there's health concerns.
Don't want to start sending people to the hospital because they're not getting taken care of properly. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the first of 2 shows we're doing with Tom here. He's an expert, so we're going to give another half hour. Hopefully you enjoyed that. We're going to have a lot more information we're going to cover here. Stay tuned for more as we continue, because we're going to answer some more important information about one thing that sets his business apart and a big mistake that most people make when they're looking at their HVAC system, and important things that we need to cover. All right, stay tuned for more, everybody. Giddy up.